Hello, Sheldon. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, how's everybody?
Good. How are you?
Excited to be here. My age is just good to get out of the house. Hey, Sheldon.
Hi.
Hey. All right. Can y'all see the Blackboard screen course overview?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Then we're rolling then. Great, great. Hope everybody had a good holiday and a good break. Wasn't much of a break though, was it?
Yeah.
All right. All right, we got another minute here to go. Let's see who we've got. We got me and Tracy and Lisa and Jackie and Sheldon. And Jackie and Katie. Katie, can you hear me? Katie, can you hear me?
Let's go. Well, pay attention to that pendejo and have a great time.
Yeah, class at 7. I want you to come up. Oh, let me mute myself. Hey, y'all.
There's Deol.
Hey.
I have one of my students in my apartment, and I'm trying to get him to come to my class tomorrow to talk to my students from last semester. Well, this semester about my class last semester.
Okay. Come on, man. I guess that's everybody. It is. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Y'all have 10 in your cohort, is that right?
That's right.
All right, we got Jackie, Mike, Sheldon, Daryl, Terrence, Katie, Sheila, Courtney, Lisa, and Tracy. There's Terrence and Jackie.
Hello.
How are you?
Hey, good. How about you?
I'm excited to be here.
All right.
All right, let's do a quick. So we got Jackie. All right. We're missing Mike. Sheldon's here. Daryl's here. Terrence is here. Katie is here. Jackie's here. Tracy, Lisa. So we're only missing Mike. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're missing 2. Courtney. Mike and Courtney.
Yep.
Mike and Courtney. So
Okay.
hopefully I'll give them another minute before we get started. All right. All right. Let me check my email and make sure nobody's emailed me that they can't get in. That usually happens. Okay. All right. There's Courtney. Hey, Courtney.
Hey, Courtney.
Courtney, can you hear us? She's
Plugging in.
Yeah, she's plugging in. Got to get her hair right. That's the most important thing. I spend a lot of time on mine. All right, here we go. All right, so we're still missing Mike, but we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'll try to be brief tonight. I hope that you had a chance to log into the shell. First thing to
Yeah.
do, of course, is to do the enrollment verification. Let me check that right quick and see where we are with that on verification. Don't verify, they'll drop you from the course. And then, so Jackie, Terrence, Katie, Courtney, some point before too much longer, go in and do the verification activity.
Okay.
So that they won't put you down as a no-show.
Okay. I'll do it tonight.
They're pretty quick on that. They pull a quick trigger on that one. All right. So once you do the EVA, welcome back. We're glad to have you. Hope that you have purchased your books. We'll start, of course, with the Salkind book, which is the basic primer for quantitative statistics. And then we'll do the Merriman book, which is the primer for qualitative statistics. And then we will do program evaluation, the book by Royce, which kind of puts those two together. I have two outside reading books for this semester. Super Crunching by Ian Ayres is hilarious to me. I think it's one of the most fun reads that you will have, given that it's based on number crunching, but it's very much fun. The Quants book is a little more geeky, but it's still designed to be, they're application books. They're how you would go about using these in organizational settings, how you would use the statistics hopefully you will learn this semester. And so I highly recommend them. And I also have discussion board questions about those. So those are the texts that we will have. The syllabus is there. Let's start out by looking at the weekly schedule. And as you will see, I have gridded it off into a weekly schedule. What activity you have every week and what's due for you to do. You can see from this week, home meeting via Zoom, January 15th. Your activity is to read Salkind chapters 1 through 5, and you have a discussion board activity. You can look at that and see what's in there. And you have a 25-question test on introductions to statistics from Salkind chapter 1. The test is automatic. You just click on it. Zoom share. Okay. So when you go to take your test, you see where it says Salkind test. You simply click on that link to the menu, and you click on Salkind introduction test, and you take it automatically. You can take it as many times as you want. It'll record your highest score, and it'll tell you what you missed. And that's the way you take tests. You simply go to the drop box over here, Salkind test, click on Salkind introduction test, and it's an automatic test. It's multiple choice. It's fairly simple, and that's where you will find all of the Salkind tests, the Royce test from program evaluation that we'll have later this semester. They're also here. The discussion board, that was mentioned. I have a couple of questions for you on what you read. They're from the chapters. I only have one, and they're more application type questions. They're kind of thought-provoking questions. I see somebody's already posted one from Salkind chapter 1. I'll have to go and look at that one. So each week, again, I have what you are to do here on your weekly schedule. So next week, at the end of the week, we will meet at Gardner Webb Charlotte. Sheldon will be our most capable host, I'm sure. And so, excuse me, I will bring, I guess y'all want me to bring biscuits and pastries and coffee and juice and those kind? Sheldon, will you allow us to do that?
Absolutely.
All right. So I'll bring all that stuff. Be there at 8:30, and we'll have breakfast before we start. We do that on Saturday morning. We'll do that on Sunday morning. Now, Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, we're going to have our devotional. Our first devotional, I do a trilogy. Our first devotional will be on servant leadership. So we'll have our devotional at 9 on Sunday. Since I don't get to go to church, y'all have to put up with me doing the sermon. I'll try to keep it under an hour, though. But so that's what we'll do the second week. Third week, you'll be at home. You'll have your discussion board on Salkind chapter 6 through 10. You'll have a test on Excel. You'll go in and do the Excel test. That's under Salkind. And you can kind of see how this goes back and forth. Now, I'm pointing out week 4. That Saturday morning, February the 10th at 9 o'clock, I'll send out the link and we'll be online and you will present your case study. So we'll talk more about case studies when we're together face to face. That gives you 2 weeks lead time. But the week after we meet class, you'll start getting together in your Zoom groups. You have Zoom groups already established, folks that you work with on a regular basis on projects?
No.
If you don't, we'll figure those out when we meet face to face. And what your group does is you Zoom during the week and you do your case study. And then on Saturday morning, you present your case study PowerPoint. And then after the teams have presented and we've kind of debriefed and talked about it, you'll write a reflection of the case study that you just did and the debrief that we just did. Now, that write-up of that case study is short. It's from one page and a half. But I always like for you to wait until after everybody's presented because you might see a different perspective than the one you had or the one that I had. And so you'll always have a week to get together in your Zoom teams in the evening and put together your PowerPoint presentation. I do expect a PowerPoint. It shouldn't be that long. I believe I provided you an example of what I'm looking for. Let me go to new share and go back to desktop. Let me go to new share and go back to here. All right, so under case study materials, let's see what I've got under there, what goodies I have for you. There it goes. Case study directions, how to analyze a case study, the presentation rubric, the case study reflection rubric, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 case studies that we'll do during the course of the semester. I may even go in there and put a recording of one of my previous Saturday mornings. I may even do that for you to help launch you into this. My assumption was that you folks have been doing case studies and been doing them via Zoom. If that was incorrect, I'll go in and put you an example of what I'm looking for. I find that case studies are a lot of fun to do face to face, but they eat up the whole day. This way, we're generally out in about 90 minutes on Saturday morning and we get our 4 case studies done. And that preserves our classroom time to cover the material, which, although not nearly as much fun, is a little more rigorous and probably needs the attention of being face-to-face to cover that material. So there are your case study materials. Here's the Dropbox that I've set up for you. So at the end of the Saturday, you put your PowerPoint, and then sometime Saturday night or Sunday, when you write your reflection, you'll drop your written reflection in there. And there's 4 of those. So there's 4 PowerPoints. Now, it's a group PowerPoint. Everybody doesn't have to do, and when you load them, everybody's from the group will be the same. But there's where you put your materials once you're through with your PowerPoint and you're through with your reflection. The DEOL handbook. Let's see what I've got under Zoom video links. See what goodies I've got in there. Look at there. I've already posted you a couple of case studies. That in terms of the recording, that shows the presentations, the PowerPoints that they did, and kind of the flow of how it will go on Saturday morning. So there's a couple that I did from last spring. Okay. The syllabus just contains the materials. The weekly schedule is what we just covered. I have daily schedules, so you'll know if something happens and you can't be with me, and we're going to talk about that more in just 1 minute. You'll know what you've missed, and you can go to the appropriate place and you can view those materials. So, for example, if you get there late, or if you have to leave early, or if you have to miss a day, I have the daily schedule. If it'll ever open, I have the daily schedule, what we're going to cover during each of the time blocks for the 6 days that we're together. I have all of those things, so you can kind of see what you've missed. And then from there, you can go back to that week, and what you will find, you say if you missed that day, here's everything that we will have covered that day. So hopefully you won't miss any with us, but if you do, it's not the end of the world. Now, weather. Bruce Boyles is the interim dean of the School of Education, and he is having the devil of a time trying to get somebody at Gardner Webb to make a decision about closing off-site campuses during inclement weather. Nobody at Gardner Webb wants to take that responsibility, and we don't want to be responsible to have people traveling in from all over. And so here, if something happens and I miss the call, and you make a better call than me if you have to. And so if you have to miss because of weather, that will not hurt my feelings at all. I will generally try to make the call. Who's coming in from the furthest to the Charlotte campus?
Mike, probably. He's coming in from Louisville, Kentucky.
Ouch.
Uh-huh.
All right, Mike. Mike, when do you normally leave? Welcome, Mike. What time do you normally leave to come to Charlotte for a Saturday class? You're muted. Nope, no sound. All right. Okay, you're unmuted now. You might just need to turn up your volume.
His chat says Friday at 10 a.m.
Okay, let's see. He leaves Friday at, okay, here we go. Let me pull the chat down. Friday at 10 a.m. All right, so I need to make the call by what? Thursday at noon? Something like that? Are you flying in or driving? Typically driving. So I could wait until, so if he's leaving Friday at noon and he's driving in, all right. After I watch the weather Friday morning, Friday at 9 a.m. Friday at 9 a.m. if there's inclement weather coming through, Friday at 9 a.m. I'll make the call by then if I'm going to cancel. If I have to cancel later, if I make a bad call and have to cancel later, or you can't come, then don't come. But we will try to make sure that we all stay safe. And so Friday at 9 a.m., if there's an issue, I'll make the call. But here under each of the class materials, you'll know what I'm going to cover and kind of the time frame. And then that's where the materials are. If you look at the daily schedules, you'll know what you missed. Here again is your discussion board. Your discussion board has questions, general questions, overall question for the Salkind book. They have questions for the Merriam book. They should be next. Yep. Now they're a little more. There are no tests for Merriam, so these questions are going to be more of a testing kind of thing. They're going to be more in depth because there are no multiple choice questions for Merriam. And then Royce, if you'll remember, Royce is you have tests for that. I have some questions from Super Crunchers. Move that out of the way. I've got some discussion board questions from Super Crunchers. And I've got one big question from the quants. So those are on your weekly schedule of activities. You have your discussion boards and you have your tests. and then you have your presentation for your case studies and your case study reflection, and then you will have a data analysis project. You just click on that. You have a data analysis project, quantitative and qualitative, and your milestone 6. We'll talk about those more. Don't worry about those right now. We'll talk about those more when we're face to face. And so that's the deliverables for this course this semester. You have tests in Salkine, you have tests in Royce. You have discussion boards in Merriam, Ayers, and Quants. You have your PowerPoints from your case study and your case study reflections. And then you have a qualitative and quantitative data analysis project due this semester related to milestone 6. Questions about what's due this semester? It's a lot of work. It's a 6-hour class, though. Remember, this is like having Stat 1 and Stat 2. We're covering both qualitative and quantitative in the same semester. I'd like to do it in split semesters, but you don't want to be as old as me when you get done.
Well, I'm not saying that you're old, but
I am. I'm reminded of it in weather like this when I get up and it says 11 degrees, feels like 8.
I do have a question though, but it's not necessarily around the actual assignments. It's more so around some of the meeting times for me. So like this semester with my job and just life and everything else that I have going on, my conference schedule is hectic. So I'm going to be like traveling on some of the days that we are scheduled to have certain sessions. And I was just wondering, like, how is that going to affect our ability or my ability to progress within the course? And plus, because I also don't want to get points deducted because I'm not in class. So I'm just curious as to how that's going to work, or what are your policies around that, or your thought processes?
Well, are we talking about missing? What are we talking about missing?
So there's definitely one weekend for sure that I know, and if it be more effective, so I don't take up everybody's time, I can stay on a little bit after the Zoom session, and I can work through my individual.
Well, I mean, do you think you'll be able, so that we can move quickly? This would be good for everybody here. Do you think you'll be able to do the Saturday morning Zooms?
Well, I know, like, I'm going to a conference in April during that Saturday morning Zoom, so I won't be able to do that because I'll be involved in the conference. And that's something for work. It's not, and that was scheduled. I mean, that's just something that I have to be at. And I know that, for example, if we get bumped, there's something for my consultancy project that I'm involved in this coming weekend. But if weather impacts, then it's moved to the following Sunday. So I won't know that until this coming Saturday. Wow. But that one in April, definitely, I'm not going to be available for that Zoom session.
Right.
And I'm in the same boat. I travel for work. So I need to look at the dates, but a lot of the weekends I'm going to be out of town traveling. So I'm in a similar boat for the Saturday Zoom, and I think one of the weekends in February.
Well,
for me,
the reason that what I was talking about is I understand when you can't come. I mean, you've got jobs and lives. I understand when you can't come to class, and I can. That's why I have set it up the way I have. So if you miss, materials are still there for you. The tests are still there. I'm just going to cover the materials and be there available to answer questions and work you through. But the materials are still there. You just click on the link for that day and you just cover those materials yourself. You just go through the PowerPoints. I mean, you don't need me for that. That's just the extra part. The part about missing the Saturdays, as long as you can work during the week, don't let your group down. On the Zooms, you don't physically have to be with us on Saturday morning. You can watch the Zoom. I'll post the link, and your colleagues can present the work. And that's why I've got those set up that way. Where, as I said, your group does. Your group meets at times, and you've got a couple of weeks. Your group meets at times where it's convenient to all of you and you put this together. Now, if there's 4 in your group and only 3 there Saturday, that's no problem. And then you watch the video of that, and then you write your reflection. So I've got it set up where you can, as long as you don't let your colleagues down in terms of putting together your Zoom presentation on the case studies, then all is good with me. I mean, I understand the missing part. I have the course set up so that I don't want you to miss, but I have the course set up where it's not imperative that you be with me on those 3 weekends, each of those 6 days. I'd love for you to be, but the course is designed, it's a hybrid course. It's designed so that you don't have to be there. The only concern I have is make sure you don't let your colleagues down doing your case studies. The real value of the case studies is y'all getting on Zoom together and kind of hammering them out. That's the real value. The Saturday morning is just for me to see what you've done and for me to talk a little bit.
I have a question about you keep referring to Zoom. Do you care what kind of environment we get in with our groups? Like, what if we decide we want to do Google Hangouts instead of Zoom? Do you care? Or is it just you're saying that we're getting together virtually to hammer this out in some way?
And then you need to join me on Zoom on Saturday morning.
Right.
Everything's not compatible with the technology at Gardner Webb, and Gardner Webb has finally decided on Zoom. So everything that's submitted to me, or all my videos and everything, I don't want to have to go through Kaltura, which is basically a program that converts everything to a usable form for Gardner Webb. If you don't use Zoom, then I have to do Kaltura, which that's why my hair fell out trying to do Kaltura. So every how that y'all can get together during the week virtually is fine with me if y'all got something else that you do. But on Saturday morning, when we come live at 9, you need to be able to operate Zoom, because I'll make whoever's presenting, I'll make you the host, and you'll present your document on whiteboard just like I would do, and you will. You've got 30 minutes to teach the class and tell us what you've done and what you think about the case study. Watch those 2 case studies I've got under Zoom video links, and you'll kind of see what the expectation is. And then after the first presentation, we debrief, and then after the second, and after the third. So y'all haven't got Zoom. Y'all don't have virtual groups right now, and there are 10 of you.
No.
The bigger the groups, the harder the scheduling and getting schedules together. I like 3-person groups, so that'd be 3 and 3, and then.
You like what?
I like 3-person groups. 3-person groups, because 3 people can usually get together and schedule something. And part of that is learning to collaborate virtually. That's one of the objectives of DEOL is to teach people, or for people to have the opportunity to learn how to lead and be part of a virtual community, because many jobs require us now not to be in the same physical location as the people we work with. And so tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, I'm going to do a virtual session with people in my other job. I'm going to do a virtual session with them. I can't afford to have them drive to campus all the time. And so, you have to learn how to collaborate virtually now, and that's part of why we have you do this. But I don't want to, I've got 21 people that work with me in another program, and it's kind of, that's like kind of herding cats. I mean, you can't do that project work. And so we have to learn how to break out into smaller clusters to do project work, and that's what I'm doing with y'all. So one group will have 4 in it, and that will be a struggle to get everybody to coordinate everybody's time and everybody can meet. 3's hard, 4 is about impossible. But one group will have 4, but we'll kind of hammer that out, and we'll hammer it out based on similar schedules. People who work similar kind of jobs have similar kind of schedules. You should be in the same group. People who have divergent schedules should not be in the same group. And that's part of it. That's part of the collaboration that we want. I enjoy the Saturday mornings. I just think they're great. I mean, I always hear something new in every one of these that I didn't think of before. It's it is, but again, the value for you is in the week where you get together and collaborate and put these things together. So whatever vehicle you use to do that is fine with me. I don't have a problem with that at all.
So Dr. Lamb, this is Sheila. I have a couple of questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
The test for 2 to 6, when is that supposed to be done? I can't seem to find that on the
So
schedule.
if we look on the weekly schedule, let's see if it's on the weekly schedule. Did I close the weekly schedule?
I don't see it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Fifth week by the 18th. Test on Salcon chapters 2 through 6. You see it now, Sheila?
Oh, I see it. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do. And then my other question is, what is it that you will be looking for from our consultancy project?
Milestone 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a Dropbox. All right. All right. So let's see. All right. So, all right. Remembering these. Develop a detailed summary of the key assumptions upon which the consulting project be planned and executed. The key assumptions should be documented and validated. Additionally, a summary of restriction constraints within the project must be planned and executed. For example, resources, limits to funding, basic quality criteria, expertise, conflicting mandates, etc. All right, so that's what we're looking for now. Along with that, and I'm going to cover this more in depth when we're face to face. Basically, we want you to figure out within that, your key assumptions are what qualitative and what quantitative methodologies are you going to use in your consultancy. That's what pops up in milestone 6. And so, let me move this back out of the way. So when we look at, go back to case study materials, and you look under in this consultancy-based project folder, I have a definition of these, your qualitative, quantitative, and the rubric that goes along with that, how to put that together. So basically, you're going to build your methodology and limitations for your consultancy in terms of data analysis. And you're going to use these documents here to do that. So that's how you're going to build your milestone 6. Basically is the methodology of data in your consultancy project. Now, It's hard for me to say more than that because these projects are so diverse. They're not like dissertations where everybody has a chapter 3 on methodology and they all follow a similar format. It's just whether you're going to use quality. It's not that way for these. Some of you will be collecting data. Some of you will already have data. Some of you won't be looking at data per se in terms of sales numbers or people served or whatever. Some of you, it's according to your project. What life these will take. Some of you are doing staff development, some are doing brand recognition, some of you are doing personnel, some of you are doing budgeting, I'm sure. So the thing about the consultancy project is they're individual to each of the consultancy locations where you are and what you're planning to do. It will become, basically what we do is when we sit down together, we kind of figure out, what direction that these are going to take. For example, on the qualitative end, if this will open, everybody understands qualitative is interviews, observations, and documents.
Yes.
Purpose to provide candidate an opportunity to build expertise in applying qualitative to use useful in consultancy. Interviews, observations, documents. And right here, it tells you exactly how you're going to do that. And when you put it all together, guess what? It becomes your milestone 6. I've got it all laid out for you here.
Great. Thank you.
I don't leave anything to chance. I don't want this to be a correspondence course, but the ideal for me is to design a course that without me, you can still know what to do and how to do it. And that you can miss face-to-face sessions. And as long as you don't let your team down, being somewhere at a certain time is not critical to your success in this course. And to get back to the original question that Terrence had, how you do in this course will be dependent upon the quality of the work that your outcomes. I mean, if you come every time and sit in the front row and laugh at all my jokes, that won't get you any further down the road than somebody who doesn't come but does better work than you. In the end, it's all about outcomes. And I have another document just like this one for quantitative that tells you just like this one, step by step, what the expectation is. Now, understanding, I am a quantitative person. That is my area of expertise and methodology. I only barely tolerate people like Dr. Hamilton who are qualitative people.
That's how we educators are.
Do what?
I said, that's how we educators are. We're all about qualitative.
That's exactly right. And so now he's a phenomenologist. That's his area of expertise within qualitative. I don't even like to be in the same side of the road as those people myself, but that's just me. I'm a quantitative person. So the idea being is if you have something that's beyond my expertise in qualitative, I have a little. Can't see, no distance between my fingers. I have a little. But if we need more than I've got, we're going to get you to Dr. Hamilton, who that is his area of expertise. Now, what Dr. Hamilton and I do as methodologists, we serve on graduate committees throughout the School of Education and other departments. I'm the quantitative person. He's the qualitative person. That's kind of the way that works. Since we don't have dissertations in DEOL, we serve in other departments as methodologists. So that's kind of what we do every day, is methodologies. He does qualitative work. I do quantitative work. That's kind of our day job. And so between the two of us, or we could get somebody else that actually knows something, we'll get you some help. If you have some specific area or event that's beyond what I know a lot about in qualitative, then we'll bring him in to help you. We'll make him earn a living. If you go beyond what I know in quantitative, we're in trouble, because I'm it. I'm not the best, but I'm the best we've got. So kind of like being captain of a lifeboat, with a lot of choices. So I'm sure we'll get you the help that you need one way or the other on these. But that's a great question. But yes, we will look at these in depth. So you should open these up and look at these before we meet next time, so you'll have some idea of how this could fit into your world of what you're doing. And so
Yes.
again, those are under case study materials. There's a folder there with these in it, and there's a rubric that goes with it as well. I like rubrics. You've already figured it. Quantitative people like rubrics. And then here's the quantitative one that you will follow this one. And when you put these two together, your milestone 6 will be done. And so here's the one for the quantitative side. There it is. Again, same kind of thing. Survey and data group comparison, 2 to 3 pages. There you go. Tells you exactly what to do on the quantitative side. And here's there's a rubric in here. Back to that folder. Let me see if I did the shortcut. Look at that. And here's the rubric. So there's your grading rubric and how that will be graded. This is also a guide as to what we're looking for. You know, it's kind of hard for me to tell you what I'm looking for because all projects are individual, but this is an overview of really what we're looking for in milestone 6. So it's got a quantitative half, qualitative half. Here's the rubric on how you put it together. You'll put these 2 projects in individually for a grade, and then you'll put them together and maybe have some linking narrative and speak to some of the limitations and those things, and that'll be your milestone 6. But these 2 together will be 95% of your milestone 6, these 2 projects. And then you just make sure that you capture everything that it said for you to do in that milestone definition. 95% of it will be these 2 data projects, and you're golden. And then you just simply, I've got a Dropbox down here, and then you drop your quantitative, your 2 to 3 page, your 2 to 3, and then you put them together, put a little linking narrative, talk about your limitations, drop that in milestone 6. Could it be any easier?
We'll see.
Now, this is the easy part. The tough part is the Salkind book, getting through the statistics. I'll tell you that right now. That's not a picnic. But I mean, I can't dumb it down. It is what it is. You must be, this is Disney World. You must be this high to ride this ride. There's a certain level of intelligence required here. And trust me, I'm not smart enough to help everybody. So you're going to have to help pull the wagon here. Mixing my metaphors here, but you're gonna have to buckle down on that Salkind book. But it is Excel based, which makes it easier in SPSS. The old book was SPSS, and you had to learn that. That was tough. It is easier to learn in Excel. Now, we're not going to get too involved in Excel. That's why I only have kind of like an introductory one. Now, I've got some data sets down here on the menu where it says Salkind Excel data sets. If you want to go deeper into it, and I encourage you to do that, I've got some data sets for you to work with that go along with the book. They're right here. I think that would be a wonderful thing. But if you can figure out the difference between a formula and a function, that's pretty good. A function is just a formula that's already embedded in the software. And formulas just tell Excel what you want it to do. And so we're not going to dig too deep into that because that's, as I said, if I had a whole course to spend with you on quantitative, we'd get down in the weeds, and we were meeting every week for 4 hours. Like regular face-to-face classes do. We'd be tearing that Salkind book apart on Excel, and we'd be doing all these. We've got 6 days of time together. I've just got to kind of hit the high notes in terms of what I want you to learn. You got to kind of grind it out in the book on your own through the tests. Back to Terrence's question, Ray, how well you do on that test. I know how smart I am. That's not the question. The question is, how smart are you? And so, I mean, proverbial you, not Terrence, but I mean, a lot of your grade is going to be on the quality of the work that you can do. It's not going to be attendance based, if that's your question. Grade's not going to be attendance based. It's going to be on the quality of the work that you do. Because
That was Daryl's question.
Pardon?
I said that was Daryl's question.
I'm sorry, Daryl's question. I'm sorry, that was Daryl's question.
That's all right.
But that was a great question, though.
The points if you want.
But the idea here, it's all about the quality of the work you do, because the people that you work for, that's what they, and especially in consultancy, that's what they're concerned about, is the quality of the work that you do for them. And I want it to be based on the quality of the work, not, some artificial standard of attendance. I mean, yeah, I want you to come, but if you can't make it, I understand. The work is still there, and it's pretty much menu driven in terms of what you need to do. So,
Dr. Lamb, this is Tracy. I just
Hey,
have
Tracy.
a couple questions. The first is, since you have all the work posted, can we work ahead as much as we would like to?
I'd love for you to.
Okay, great.
You won't hurt my feelings a bit.
Okay. And then my other question is the discussion boards. Is there an expectation that we respond to all of those to our classmates, or what's the expectation there?
That you just respond to them. I don't force response to, that you have to respond to somebody else's. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to.
Okay.
If it's something that you see that interests you or captures your imagination or attendance, that would be great. If not, about half of those forced responses I read are I agree or me too. Not really doctoral level stuff, to be quite honest with you. So, and in terms of turn it in, I mean, in terms of when to do this, just don't get too far behind. I'm not going to check every Sunday night, and I'm not one of those people that makes it available at 11:59 on Sunday and then closes it on 11:59 the next. I don't care when you do it. I just care that you do it. If you I have it laid out in the weekly schedule so that you can manage your time. If you want to go early, fine. And if you didn't do it, if you had to travel for work and didn't do a discussion board this week, you'll never hear a peep out of me. You're adults. You direct your own learning. I'm just the guide on the side. The days of, when, I'll name drop here. When I was at Chapel Hill a million years ago, do you remember that I started my doctoral program at Chapel Hill 30 years ago? Well, I'm sorry, 30 and a half years ago. I finished 30 and a half years ago, excuse me. But when I was there, we did the old where you had to go to class every week and do all that kind of stuff. And you had, multiple statistics class. You had stat 1, 2, and 3, and you had inquiry and all these other things. Now, unless you're going to do what I do for a living, and I only came to this after I retired from public life, state, after 32 years, and I came to this in 2010. So this is my 8th year at Gardner-Webb. But my point is, unless you're going to be an academic, you'll never use any of that stuff. I want you to learn stuff that you will use in your job for real. Now, if you want to be a higher ed professor, you probably need to be in a program that leads to a dissertation. If you want to be a professor in higher ed. Now, you can do college teaching, but if you're going to be at a research university, if you're going to be at a teaching university, this degree will be fine. But if you plan on going somewhere where you're going to be, a research associate or a research professor, you probably need a dissertation. But other than that, that's the only people that need that stuff. You don't need to be beat down and ground up into a little fine powder like I was. That's of no value. What I want you to learn things that are useful in the real world. That's what you're going to gather from the 2 books that I'm having you read on super crunchers and quants, is how this stuff is relevant in the real world and how I can make this stuff work for me in a job. And that's why we switched, when I came over, first thing I asked Dr. Hamilton to do was switch from SPSS to Excel. I don't know anybody in the world of work that uses SPSS. Everybody uses Excel to manage their databases. You need to learn how to do that. This is a practitioner's degree. This is about leading organizations and in the world of work. This is not an esoteric exercise. It's not going to be highly academic. I hope to be able for you to learn basic statistics from a practitioner's point of view of how to use them and when to use them and the appropriate ways to use them. It's kind of the idea. All right. I think that's pretty much, I've covered the whole menu here. Everything's pretty much laid out. Again, you work at your pace. Don't let your partners down. You won't have partners till after we meet next weekend. But the only thing that I have, the only real concern that I have is just don't let the people that are on your team down. That because that's a biggie in the world of work today. A lot of people work from home and work virtually now. A lot of people meet virtually. And the biggest complaint that everybody has is when you not in the same room with somebody, people tend to not follow through on the things that they're supposed to do. I mean, the enforcement of the norms and the values of the group only extends to the reach of me being able to get my hands around your neck and wring it if you don't keep up your end of the bargain. I think that's the the metaphor that's used now. And so because people aren't in the room together, one of the biggest problems that people have learning to collaborate and work, and you will have as a leader leading people who work virtually is because they aren't in the room together. Folks let one another down. They don't follow through and do their part. That leads to a lot of internal strife in workplaces and workplace inefficiency. So that's one of the things that if you can't come with me online with a Saturday, I can live with that. But if you didn't get together with your people during the week and they had to pull your part of the wagon, that's not good. That's not good. So I'm going to let you kind of work it out among yourselves who should be on teams and the method that you use and when you do that. But just don't let one another down. That's the biggie. What is next?
Started on these discussion boards.
Pardon?
Starting on these discussion boards.
Starting on the discussion boards. Let me go back to the first page here. All right, so the first one, why might the study of statistics be important in your field? What use does statistics have in your field? I mean, is the question, how long do I expect the answer to be there? I don't know. If it takes you more than 10 minutes, we got problems. I mean,
Terrence. Just hearing Terrence chuckling. I can't see you, Terrence, but you're funny.
But seriously, I mean, these are, you should know something. I mean, my expectation on these the SAL kind discussion boards are 10 or 15 minutes on these. It shouldn't take you longer than that. Now, the Merriam, as I told you, are much more involved. These are designed to take you an hour. These are designed to take you at least an hour because there's no tests that go with these. The AIRS questions are designed to take from an hour or two because, again, there's no test questions on them. So the idea here is you're supposed to work 4 hours a week. That's the expectation in this course from the university perspective and from the accreditor. I'm supposed to have 4 hours of work for you to do every week, besides the time that we Zoom together and besides the time that we have face-to-face classes. In a hybrid class, I'm to have 4 hours of work for you to do every week. I've designed the course so that the discussion boards, you spend 15 minutes. Now you'll spend the rest of that time reading and doing those tests and Salkind. You'll have the Merriam questions, but you'll also have your case studies to do along the way. So if you look at how I've paced it, there should be no week that you have more than 4 hours worth of work to do. I've paced it out so that every week I've kind of done this a couple of times so that you have 4 hours worth of work to do for me every week besides whatever Zoom time on Saturday or the face-to-face meeting time. The expectation is over the 16 weeks you will have 4 hours a week of work from me. So some weeks it's a lot more time on discussion board than others, and then those weeks it's more time on the test and studying the book and taking the test. Other weeks it's a lot of Zoom time getting your case studies together. But I've kind of paced it so that there's not a week where you've got 4 hours of getting your case study ready. You got 4 hours of test and 4 hours of discussion boards. There is no week like that. It's all paced at 4 hours a week for normal intelligence people.
Dr. Lamb, quick question about the test. You said for the test that we're doing this week, we can take it as many times as we want. Is that true for all the tests?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing gotchas. It's more for you than it is for me. I quite honestly, it's not about one time and the number. Taking the test kind of forces you to get serious about learning the material, because it's kind of embarrassing when you make a 12 out of 100. And so what we find is in things like quantitative statistics that the test is actually a kind of enforcement tool to make you dig in and get after it. And again, it's more for you than it is for me. But so yeah, you can take them all as many times as you want.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Next. Sheldon, anything for the good of the group before we go?
No, not at all. Looking forward to the class.
Not really. I know you're not, but it was kind of you to say that.
Hey, Sheldon, do you know what room we're in yet?
No, probably the same room that we were in last semester.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot the number right offhand.
I think it's 204.
Can I make one request? Let's have one with heat, if at all possible.
Yeah, we will. Hopefully, it'll be warmer by the time we meet anyway.
I hope so too. But my old room downstairs there, what is that? What's that down at the end? 201 or 102?
We're rationing the heat down there, so you're gonna have to.
Yeah, I know that. Sheldon always made me meet down in 102 down the bottom where there wasn't any heat. But now it was nice and warm in the summertime down there.
Absolutely.
That's a small favor,
It doesn't cost us anything then.
So we won't have to have a lot of room to spread out, just a place to put our breakfast table. That's the main thing.
Hey, I do have one question. I know we've met historically with the group during the week for Zoom sessions or to kind of discuss cases that we've had. If we, once we start looking at schedules next week or when we meet, is there any flexibility and maybe, let's say, for example, once we start comparing schedules, it's better for the group, the masses, to meet for the Zoom sessions during the week, like Monday or Tuesday or Thursday, etc.
Rather than Saturday mornings?
Yes, that's the question.
All right.
I don't know how that conflicts with your schedule. I'm just kind of throwing it out there just to see if that was set
all right
or based on.
It would have to be Thursday nights.
Okay. Just throwing it out to the group from a consensus standpoint, and I heard a lot of conflicts about Saturday already. Just in general, I know we don't have to get into detail now. We can talk about it when we meet, but would Thursday nights work better for a session from 7 to 9 versus Saturday morning, just in general?
Possibly.
You all hear me this time?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hey, welcome.
Hey. So I'm perfectly fine with Thursdays. I work typically till 10 p.m. But as long as I know ahead of time, I can make arrangements.
All right.
They work for me.
Looking at my calendar. Yes. All the weeks that we have scheduled for Saturday, I could do Thursdays those week. I have class on Tuesday night and Wednesday night. And then I do town hall meetings on Monday night with the folks that work with me in another program. So yeah, we could move to Thursday nights, the weeks, but I'm going to need to know if that's going to be something when we meet together next weekend. We got to make a hard call on that.
Okay, and maybe we can do some Saturdays and some Thursdays. Just wanted to throw it out there to see.
Yeah, I've done that. When I taught this course last spring, we even adjusted the Saturday Sunday to a couple Friday Saturdays, the face-to-face. We did rolling days on Zooms. We did some Saturdays on them. We did some Thursday nights. I mean, as long as I know up front. Now, Tuesday and Wednesday nights are out. I have classes on those 2 nights, and I try to preserve my Monday nights for town hall meetings. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I've already got Zooms. So Thursday night Zoom, and nobody wants to do Friday night. Everybody prefers Saturday morning to Friday night. So I am available on Thursday nights, but I have to know ahead of time so that I can block those out.
But we can hash it out when we meet for our first session. So.
So I don't know if there's any discussion, since Sheldon runs the building. We don't have to worry about that part. But if there's any discussion about, do y'all ever do any Friday Saturdays rather than Saturday Sundays?
No, we haven't.
There'd be no way for me to get there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. So I don't have a problem with the Saturday Sundays, but yeah, we can do some Thursday nights as opposed to Saturday mornings. But we'll just have to sit down, bring your calendars, so that we're not so that we can look at specific dates and times, and we'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the other thing we'll need to think about on the Thursdays is how will that cut into the time we'll have to work together to have it prepared. So I think that's something else we need to think about.
Most of my bunch last semester was working on Friday night for Saturday morning's presentation. that speeds your timetable 2 days. Pick your poison here. They kind of have a little pizza party. They all ordered their own separate pizza, but they were having pizza, but virtually. And we worked Friday nights for the Saturday morning presentation.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that cuts 2 days off of your time. Move it to Thursday. But that'll speed up your pacing. All right, anybody else? All right, we only went 2 minutes over. That's a first. All right, I will see you. Call, email. I can Zoom with you individually during the day. And right now, it looks like I will see you next Saturday morning, the 27th, at Charlotte, at the Charlotte campus. Be there at 8:30, and we'll have breakfast. Everybody eat biscuits?
I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat any meat. But I would love one of those cheese things from Bojangles.
You love what?
Those cheese things from Bojangles.
A cheese thing.
You know, they're just slathered in cheese and they come in a piece of foil because the cheese needs to be contained. Those things.
A cheddar bow.
You know what I'm talking about.
A cheddar bow. Okay, I got it. A cheddar bow biscuit. I'll remember that. I normally get bacon and egg and sausage and egg biscuits and have a few things. And we'll make a pot of coffee. Take strong coffee to stay awake during statistics. I've already found that out. I pump you full of grease and caffeine first thing in the morning. Between needing to go to the bathroom and can't get out off that caffeine high, I can keep you with me all day that way. So I'll see you then. Y'all have a good week. I'll see you on the 27th for breakfast at 8:30.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.